In this video you can watch some parts of this full of interesting information webinar. If you want to attend live the Football Coach 365 webinars, and have access to a huge database of coaching material, training drills and coaching theory, subscribe to our channel and our newsletter on the link in the description.
Your screen.
So some things for me, my background is from 2014 when I came to Cyprus. I come from Greece, normally from Athens. I came to Cyprus. I worked 2 years in Aris Limassol. 2016, I moved to Apollon Limassol. I stayed there for 8 years. I was part of the fitness coaching staff. And this year I moved to another team, which is called Periodization. I'm head of performance there. And also I'm in the national team U19 assistant coach. Okay, our presentation today, as Lucas mentioned, is the microcycle of physical periodization at elite level, because in academies and amateur level is different, it's not the same. We'll speak for professional level, but after we can discuss anything you like for different quality of athletes if you have in your teams. So some things about periodization generally. What is periodization and why is it important? Periodization is important because it's the process of how we will manage from the training and during the week, prepare our team and have the best performance at the peak of our performance at the appropriate time, which is the game. So it's very important to make a good structure during the week, tactical aspect and from physical aspect and technical all together, so we can have the best result during the match day, which is the most important thing. When we combine the fitness with the technical or tactical aspects, we have the best result. And it's very important. This happens mostly in the elite and most professional level. Different periodization, different microcycles. When we have the start of the season, where is the middle of the season, where is the end of the season? It's not the same. So the focus is all these 4 aspects of the game. Technical, tactical, you the coaches work it very much, but also physical and psychological are very, very important. So when we combine them all together during the days or the exercises or the training sessions, we always have the best possible result. So what we will speak today, this is a microcycle plan. As you see, it's the annual plan of the whole season. We split it in the pre-season, the competitive season, and the transition season, which is the recovery, let's say, season. It depends the level. It depends also the weeks that we have. We'll speak about the competitive season as you see in the red cycle, and some words about the cycles. As you see from below, microcycle can be from several months to a year or maybe more. Mesocycle, typically it's 2 to 4 weeks, maybe 6. And microcycle can be some days up to 2 weeks. It's very important. So when we say about cycles, we know the days, or we know the time, the period we speak about. Something important for our performance. This is not only about fitness. This is about everything we put into an athlete as a stress factor. What I mean, when we make a training plan, we have to be the best it can be for the quality of the level we have. Depending the quality of the team we have to put the correct stress, the correct load, so we have this adaptation you see here, and we can make the athletes a little bit better. For example, as you see here, we put a stress in the athlete. After, the athlete needs some time of recovery, so it takes this adaptation and moves a little bit higher in whatever stress factor we put, even if it's physical, strength, or endurance, or if it's something tactical or technical. From this, we can understand that when we give a stress factor to an athlete, he needs some time to recover and make this adaptation so he becomes better. If we give him a higher stress factor than he can take, we will not have the result we want. If it's a less stress factor, this will not be enough for the athlete. So we give him a stress factor, for example, in strength or in endurance or something with combining technical aspects with this. After, the athlete needs some time to recover and have these adaptations, and we move from that point after. The typical is we make 1-2 sessions with high stress or high load, and after we need to reduce it. So we have this adaptation phase for our athletes. Why? Because if we have 1 week, for example, as you see below, every part you see is a different week, and we move from 1 week to another, and the difference in the load is 5-10% up or 5-10% down. It's acceptable. But if 1 week we go from one level 20 or 25% up in terms of loading, we increase the possibility of injury because of overloading. So we need to be very careful and speak with your physical coaches or your assistant coach if he is responsible for the fitness part. If you are a team that you don't have full staff, and manage as you can the fitness and the loading factors so we can avoid this possibility of injury. How we can prevent it? As you see here, it's many factors so you can prevent the overtraining syndrome. The most important is to make, as you see below the first one, appropriate periodized training programs. It's the most important because depending the team we have, depending the players we have to make programs that is the best for the players and the quality we have. Whatever we do, it has to do with the quality and the players we have. If we give high loads, it will not be good. If we go lower loads that the athletes can take, again, it's not good. So we have to give the appropriate load and programs for our athletes. It's very important to monitor the performance, to monitor the training generally. You'll see after some ways to do it if you have equipment or not. And as you see below the big studies, after. Now, for the structure of the microcycle. One idea is this: after the game, we have 2 days that normally we give recovery. Again, I speak for professional football. After is the 2 days that is normal, the loading days, and there we have to manage the stress factors. It depends on strength, endurance, which is the most basic things we work in these days. And after we have the 2 days of the tapering, which have to manage the fatigue and look the sharpness of the players to be ready to play the game. As you hear, I have 3 different weeks microcycles to have a look. First one is with 1 game every week, so we can have the +1 of the game recovery. In the +2, we can have day off. -4, you can have the strength training. -3, the endurance. -2, the speed. -1, reactive, something that is for the mind, something to prepare the players for the game. Another example is the second one, but in the -3, we can build the endurance with the speed together, also giving the -2 an active recovery if we work in this way. If we work in this way, it means that the -3 we have to do some endurance and some speed of play together, combined in one training session, so we can give an active recovery, which will be something easy with the ball in the -2. Not fully recovery, but an active recovery at the pitch. In the third one, you can see an example having 3 double games during the week. So we have Sunday, we have a midweek game. In this situation, we give a recovery for the players that played in the +1. The players who didn't play make a normal training, but in the -1, all the players make a small activation, a regeneration program to be ready to play the game. After the midweek game, we have 3 days. We can make recovery, and recovery depends if the same players played. If we make some changes, we can manage it so we can use some players during the training in the +2, -2. and all together again in the -1 for the activation of the next game. So most of you, I think you have 1 game per week as normal. So the first one is the best example you can use for your teams. And again, I say it's an idea for professional teams. If you have an amateur teams or if you have youth level, it's different. You give less recovery, you work more because it's a youth level. So here, it's a good example of how we can use the shuffle, the sequence of the training during the week. As you see, we have the game, which is the blue color. After, we give a recovery for the players that played, and also they can work some upper body strength. They can work something separate from the other team. The players that didn't play work very intensive in the +1. +2 from the game, we can give them a rest. And after -4, we can give the strength load, as we said, -3 the endurance, -2 the sprint, -1 the tapering. What I want you to look here is, for example, as you see in the number 4 color, high sprint load you can make during the last 4 days, mainly in the -3 and the -2 days. We can work the max speed also during this day. We can build the strength during all the days. I will speak after of how we can use this micro dosing of the strength load. But the most important thing is how we build and how we can shuffle these days and these loads and these physical aspects during these days. We can shuffle, for example, the -2 and bring it to -3. We can shuffle these days for the good of the team if we see that this works better. So some ways that we can evaluate the player's readiness and the training session. Let's say that we want to know the players, how ready they are for the training. We can prepare very, very easy 1 questionnaires of this and put what we want. The players just answer with a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we can say the higher the number, the better is the player. So from before, we have a very, very good picture of how the players are coming for the training. Are they ready to train? Do they have some pain? Do they have some issues that we need to take care of? And we're ready with a clear picture for every player about the training that we'll have after. This is a very simple table of evaluating the training intensity. How we can do it if we don't have the proper equipment? So we can calculate the heart rate from the heart rate of the players. Let's say we know, of course, the heart rate max of our players. We can make a small-sided game. We can make a small rondo during the -4. We can make a possession drill -3, for example. And after the drill, we want to see, okay, my intensity was good, my intensity was bad, which is my intensity? If we know the heart rate max of some of our players, the best one is to know for everyone. Now, let's take the main part of the week, which is the loading and the tapering day. You see, in the -4, if we have the strength day, below you can see the spaces that we can use. If we have some rondos, you see the red spaces below for rondos, for small rondos, small transition rondos. This space here is small space for small-sided game. This is the spaces that we can use for the -4 or the strength session day. The right side here is the -3 day, which can be used for endurance training or big training, or we can implement some speed if we want there. We can use bigger spaces for possession of some exercises with some tactical to finishing drills. And for the game, we can use from box to box until the whole pitch. Mostly we use box to box or one of the end of the pitch or to the other box. -2, when we speak for speed, we can use either maximal speed if we want to -2, or if we implement maximal speed during the -3 day, we can use the speed of play. So some tactical movements with speed of play in the -2, and we can use these spaces, half pitch or a little bit more for our purposes. And -1, we can make some normal rondos as you play in the -1, 6 versus 2, 7 versus 2, 8 versus 2, how you prepare it, and half pitch or a little bit smaller for our game in the -1. Very important on the right side, if we make big exercises, so if we make, let's say, a big exercise in the -3, we put endurance, we put some sprint aspects. It's very important. We give the proper rest after recovery, rest time after this day. So we need at least 24 hours until the players to be ready for the next training session. This is an idea of how we can build the strength in our teams throughout microdosing. Microdosing is something that we can use every day, is putting small strength loads, some strength targets every day, and depending the day, it can be used like injury prevention, like eccentric strength, like power or plyometric, like strength-based training, and you can calculate your volume of the session by multiplying the sets with the reps and the kilos. So if you want to have an image, a picture of how much strength you give to the players, if you don't have fitness coach, this is for you coaches, you can multiply the sets by the reps, by the kilos you use. So you know this week, you know the next week, the difference, or if I work today, if I work the next week the same thing, I know what I did last week, so I move 5-10% up without having possibility of making any problems or heavy loads to the players. As you see below, the one plan for the week is upper body strength in the +1 for the players that play the game. The players that didn't play the game, they can work lower legs, they can work something different. +2, we give a rest to the players. -4, they can work a lower body for all the team. -3, the players can make their individual programs, but this is very important to have a fitness test at the start of the season, so we know the differences between its legs. We know if a player have a weakness that we need to work on. So this day can be used for this purpose and work on the weaknesses of our players. -2 can be used for injury prevention, for stabilities, for ankles, for knee prevention, for working the core very much. And the -1 can be with very, very light kilos, something dynamic, something explosive to be ready for the game. To have an idea, strength is not something, is not one thing, it's not something very specific. We say we work strength in the gym is one thing. No, it's not one thing. We can use strength combined with speed. We can use strength in the aspect of power. We can use maximum strength. We can use hypertrophy. It's different ways of strength. So each day you have a different target in strength. If you use this microdosing we speak before, every day has a different target in strength, even if it's power, if it's strength-based training, if it's something like prevention, if it's something dynamic with speed-based training. Some examples for you. Let's say it's a strength day for our team, -4. We can work small spaces. We can work small relation of the players. We can work 2 versus 2, 1 versus 1, 3 versus 2, 4 versus 4. All these different parameters, different way of implementing the strength training in the pitch are very, very important. You see here, I have an exercise here that we can start from 1 versus 1, 2 versus 1, 3 versus 2 with goalkeeper, like duels. You see here is another idea of using something strength. So, for example, our players can make something strength based in the pitch, something dynamic, something explosive. Maybe if we have a fitness coach, we can put something with kilos, with kettlebells, with dumbbells. After, they can go here and work 2 versus 2 with time, 1 minute. And after, split on the side and play 1 versus 1 and 1 versus 1 on each side for another 30 seconds. Here is another idea that the players can work. For example, these players can make very, very intensive slaloms in the yellow cones. These players here can make dynamic jumps in the steps in the box with weights or not, and after go and play again 2 versus 2, and in the end make a small acceleration in the red cones. What is very important in this day, have a small relation in play, have a small number of duels between the players, have a very high number in acceleration and deceleration targets, and the very, very important in this day is to have very, very high load in acceleration, deceleration, change of direction, and duels. So for this day, you can work these rondos for your anaerobic capacity. We want lactic acid to produce in this day, so we can work a relation, for example, 4 versus 2, 2 players in the middle zone, 4 players on the other side, play 2, 3, 4, 5 passes. You decide. It depends the quality of the players. If they pass on the other side, these 2 players make the sprint, the acceleration, they go and press, and these 2 players come in the zone. We can work 1.5 minutes with this team, and after we change. These kind of exercises are very, very important for the strength day, because we need this intensity, we need this acceleration, deceleration, we need small spaces, and we need this kind of duels and drills in this day. And finally, in this day, we can finish with a small-sided game, 4 versus 4, 5 versus 5, with some players on the side, play 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, change the players and the teams. And it's very, very important to have each day the spaces and the drills that can fit on this day. Another table, and the last one for this day, as you see here, is an example. Depending the players we have, starting from 1 versus 1 and finishing with 6 versus 6, the number of the repetitions that we can give in the drill, the time of the drill, it's 1 set of 1 minute, 1 set of 2 minutes, and it continues until the end. And the rest we can give into this drill. The dimensions we can use into this drill, and the intensity we have from this drill. This is a very, very good example of how you can build your spaces, your drills, depending the place you have, and if you want to be hard, moderate, very hard, so you can use this example for your training sessions. Now, -3 is an endurance related training. You can use bigger spaces to have possession. Again, we can use something that we can have this transition. Some players working in the zone, some players pressing, but higher relation of the players, bigger distances, bigger dimensions, and our target is cover more meters, having this aerobic capacity in this training. And also we can implement, if we have big space, some sprint and some speed aspects. This is an idea of some possession, something specific, endurance drills like possession with some higher distance to make one acceleration, one sprint on the other side, if we want to implement also the sprint in this day. You can use these spaces like 40, 50 meters to 30, 40, 50 meters for possessions or tactical drills, and whatever you need to work on is one day that you can open the spaces, have a higher relation of the players, and have this aerobic capacity day for your team. You can work in relations of 8 versus 8, 9 versus 9. If you have more players, it's not a problem. Work even in the whole pitch 11 versus 11 in this day. As you see below, the large-sided game, box to box, or even the whole pitch. If you want to work something without ball in this day, you can work this high intensity interval training or HIIT. See this one here, which is individualized box to box HIIT. If you want to use this distance, 75.8 speed, if you want to go with 21 kilometers, 13 seconds, 20 kilometers, 13 seconds, but lower, shorter distance. Shorter distance again. If you want to run without something for the fitness of your players, this is a very, very good idea. At the end of the training, give them 8 repetitions, however you like, 70, 75, 80 meters of running a box to box. Give them the appropriate rest, maybe 15, 17. Even you can make higher rest if your team need it and your players need it. And it's very important to work it in this day. This is an idea, a big pitch to play in a high number of the players, 8 versus 8, 9 versus 9, and up to 11 versus 11 in this day. We can work it in the whole, up to the whole pitch in this day. Finishing with the tapering days. Tapering is very, very important because we need our players to be ready for the game that will come very soon in 2 days. Very important, we reduce the load because we need the players to start to be more sharp for the game, but we keep the intensity high with not a lot of time in the pitch, with not a high load in intensity, but short and sharp intensive movements. Especially in the last training session, we can have these short and intensive actions, and we give this push to the players to be ready for the game. It's very, very important, the last 2 training sessions, also for the mental preparation of our players. As you see here, to work the speed, if we want, we can have the players to make speed like acceleration phase up to 20 meters or sprint more than 20 meters. So we can work on our sprint of the team and make them better, not only in the maximal sprint capacity, but also in the technique of the sprint and how they start in the acceleration phase and the technique of the whole sprint. If we're in the gym, we can have these plyometric exercises to work on the sprint day. We can have these exercises with some resistance, and after the players have the acceleration phase for the sprinting capacity of them. For this day, the -2, how we can work the sprint is let the players sprint in a distance 30 up to 40 meters, leave them to sprint, maximal sprint, or throughout with some finishing aspect. They can put the ball on the side, make a finishing action, and after sprint back to their positions. It's two ways to work in -2. So work on the pitch, sprint day without the ball, and sprinting with something with the ball, and after sprint back to their position. So we have some finishing actions, speed of play, and after some speed without the ball. It's very important to work the sprint and leave the player sprint, because this prevents a lot of hamstring and a lot of muscular injuries. Finishing with some ideas for -2 and -1, we can have something like this. Quick feet, short acceleration. This exercise is like warming up, having some accelerations so the players can sprint after 30, 40 meters without the ball, or even be ready to have an action like finishing and after sprinting back to their position, as I said before. And for the -1, something with the ball, prepare the players, activate their minds with ball in the beginning, having something like short passing, good mobility, some fast coordination. As you see here, something like this, passing, working their mobility, something dynamic, but something intensive without too much time in this intensity phase. This is the idea of the training. Do something intensive, but short and fast. As you see here also, some quick feet, some short sprints. It's very, very important for the -1 day, so the players will be sharp and ready for the game ahead. As you see here, quick feet and short sprints and some reactions. The players make a small jump, be ready, see the color, react, and make a short sprint. Something very intensive, but very, very short and very, very fast. Finally, for the game, this is an idea of how you can prepare your players for the pre-match meal. You can have this presentation after, so you can have a better look on this picture. It's very, very important the day of the game to have a very, very good hydration during the day, have a very good mental preparation. It's very important the carbohydrates before the game and some protein intake, so the players can be as much ready they can be for the game ahead.